On a related topic, having to do with security, I don't know if you saw this blog today on Reuters, but Barry C. Lynn wrote this blog. He says, back in the 1990s, advocates of liberalizing U.S. trade with China said economic interdependence would inevitably lead to peaceful coexistence, right? The way that permanent normal trade relations with China was pitched and sold to us was, oh, they'll become more democratic if they become more affluent. And then it goes on to say, today, the United States depends on China for myriad items that U.S. citizens need every day. These include 100% of key electronics and chemical components. They even include basic ingredients for some of the nation's most important drugs, including antibiotics. Given that supply chains often run on a just-in-time basis, in which goods are only produced as fast as they're consumed, we have no backup supplies. China, by contrast, depends on the United States for virtually nothing of vital importance, and for what it does import from us in quantity, like energy and metals, coal and metals, it holds large stockpiles. And the Chinese economy is now larger than the United States and growing fast. In the midst of this, we have this fast-track bill. Trade Promotion Authority, they're calling it, because everybody realizes fast track is a bad phrase. People don't like it. That passed the Senate and is now going to the House. As a conservative, a constitutional conservative, your thoughts on a Trade Promotion Authority?
Well, I think it's defective constitutionally in a couple of respects. One, the Constitution assigns to the House alone autonomy over its own rules to govern its proceedings, Article 1, Section 5, and the Senate the same. A fast track, which is really the truth because it attempts to steamroller legislation through the House and the Senate, flouts that rule autonomy because it is a statute passed by the House and the Senate, signed by the President. And moreover, unlike ordinary House rules, they expire every 2 years. The House has to adopt new rules. This one extends for 6 years, and previous TPAs extended for 5 years. And moreover, the rules disrupt really the ability, the autonomy of a House to say, we need, in order to have mature, reflective deliberation, this kind of debate, this kind of time in hearings, this kind of opportunity to amend the bill. That's customary for any legislation. What fast track says is, nope, can't do any amendments at all. Really? It automatically goes to the executive decides which committees it goes to. It has to be reported out of committee in 45 days, whether it's 5,000 pages long or there are new issues that surface during those hearings. It has to go quickly to a floor vote within 15 days. And then it has the debate. I think it's like 40 minutes aside. I mean, this is ridiculous. You have bills that are thousands of pages long, very complex. And they're in their terminology and in the way in which they would alter the existing rules. And if you take the number of words in the bill, and divide it by that, it's like a nanosecond for each word. Right. So it is designed to compromise the deliberative process that we all recognize as part of what democracy is about. And it's based upon, I think, a quite illicit principle that the president knows best for all of us. And Congress is kind of an irritant, vexation out there.
Wait a minute.
And can't we sort of get rid of it? And they should just rubber stamp it, because if they amend what the president does, it calls into question his omniscience and infallibility. And just like you can't do that with the Pope, and I don't want to offend anyone's religion, well, the president is not the Pope. And no, in a democracy, the president can get it wrong. That's why we have separation of powers. So all these conceptual and goals of fast track are totally unconstitutional.
Well, not only that, Article 1 is the first among equals is Congress.
Yeah, and Congress is given express authority to regulate foreign commerce. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3. It doesn't say anything about the president regulating foreign commerce. It says Congress shall. And now we're assuming, the president knows how to organize international trade and what's best for the country.
And here's where it gets really bizarre, is that it's not even the president who's negotiating this deal. I mean, it's being negotiated under his supervision. And it's going to, and this is going to extend not just through the Obama administration, but the next administration, which may well be Republican, who knows. But it is being negotiated apparently by about 600 transnational corporations in secret.
And their advisors, yeah. And moreover, Tom, something like this, as early understood, would be a treaty requiring a two-thirds vote in the Senate. And there's no way the president would get a two-thirds vote. The Jay Treaty was the first one. All these international trade agreements were treaties. And then suddenly they turn into non-treaties, even though their significance is far greater. They're more lengthy than ever were before. How did that come to be? It was just when you turn into an empire, then all power migrates to the executive branch. And unfortunately, Congress has meekly surrendered that kind of discretion.
So one of your concerns is that we are becoming more of a kingdom than a democracy, essentially.
That is so true, Tom. If you examine the powers of the president today, compare them with King George III, whose powers we found so obnoxious we went to war against it to have a new country. The president's powers today dwarf what King George ever had. You mean
exceed?
They dwarf in their importance than what King George did. I mean, the powers of the president are vastly greater than what a king ever enjoyed.
Yeah.
And especially predator drones, he can kill anybody he wants. He goes to war on his own. He spends money in violation of appropriations bills. He decides what laws to execute or not. It's entirely secret as opposed to transparent government. It's truly stunning.
And this is not partisan. George W. Bush was doing these things. Barack Obama was doing these things. We have a problem in the United States.
It's a huge problem. Okay.